Hi girls, today we're going to look at training principles within a training program. So for this lecture, you will need your training program that is attached to your task sheet throughout the course of it. So training principles. For your training program or for a training program to be successful, you need the following training principles to be evident throughout. So individuality, specificity, progressive overload, frequency, intensity, duration, detraining, measurable progress, diminishing returns, and variety. The ones that I've bolded are the ones that are quite important and the ones that I think you should be focusing on looking at within your training program to make sure that they're there. So the first one, individuality. So every athlete, as we know, is different, and as a result, every training program should reflect that athlete's ability, things like their maturity, their gender, and obviously the sport, and even further than that, the specific position within that sport. So for example, there's no point in giving the same training program to a wing player and a middle player. We know that different fitness components are required, as well as different energy systems are utilised more so than others within both those positions. So what I'd like you to do now is I want you to have a look at your training program in front of you, and does that training program suit your ability and your touch position? So have a look, make some notes, why not? That's really important. Let's have a look at progressive overload. Very important. Progressive overload is the gradual increase in the load of training to ensure that fitness continues to improve. That's pretty basic. If you go to the gym, and I'm sure most of you have been to a gym before, and if you are lifting, let's go bicep curls. If you are just doing 5 kilo bicep curls within a 12-week program, there's no point, okay? That's going to become quite easy over, a couple of weeks. You need to be progressively overloading to ensure that you can improve your fitness. If you want to improve, you must exercise at an intensity greater than your existing capacity, okay? So if you're running 3K and you're getting pretty comfortable with that over 2 weeks, you probably will increase it, 3.4, 4K, etc. Really important to make note that not every session should be an overload session, okay? You need to give your body time to adapt so it can cope with the greater load. So you don't want to see overload in every single session that's developing a specific fitness component or energy system. So just move myself out of the way. Okay, so the general rule with overload is you should be increasing some sort of frequency, intensity, duration, distance by approximately 10%. That's the golden rule. You don't want to overload too much. It needs to be gradual. Overload should not occur after every session, and if you're training for, say, 4 times per week, one session should be underloaded to ensure an active yet sufficient recovery and adaptation. So you don't want to overdo it too much. So I've given you an example there. In week 1 to 2, you might jog for 10 minutes. Week 3, you'll increase it by 5 minutes to 15, and then by weeks 5 and 6, 20 minutes. So have a look at the training program. Is progressive overload evident? Okay, the key word there is progressive. Is it progressive? Is it gradual? Or is it after every single session? Okay, is it going up by about 10%? So have a look at each fitness component. If it's sprints in your training program, how long are they sprinting for? What's the intensity? Is it a gradual progressive overload, distance and intensity? Specificity. This should be the main principle which guides your training by being as specific in training as you can to match the requirements of the energy systems, fitness components, and position requirements for the sport. Really important point. Okay, so again, there's no point if you're a wing player, there is no point in doing a lot of set plays in the middle in your training session. You want to be doing things that require you to be out in the wing, lots of sprints, lots of catching and putting the ball down. Specific training that suits your position requirements, fitness components, and energy systems. Okay. For example, a 5K run. Okay, a wing player is probably not going to run 5K in a touch football game. They're not doing a whole lot standing on the wing. Okay, it's mainly catching the ball, sprinting to put the ball down. Make the training type specific to the fitness components and body parts. You know, there's no point in really doing a whole lot of upper work. We know that touch football is predominantly legs that are utilised, and select training methods that will develop the specific fitness you need. So let's have a look at your training program now. Does the training program target the fitness components and energy requirements for your selected position? So you should have identified 3 fitness components that are predominantly needed for your position and the predominant energy system, okay? Is the training program specific to your needs? So have a look. Okay, let's have a look at variety. Variety, pretty simple, adds interest to training, helps maintain motivation. You don't want to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, for example, in the training program, if there is some aerobic training, aerobic fitness training, you probably don't want to see running every single week or day. Okay, you want to mix it up. So instead of running, you could cycle, you could swim. You can vary how you train, where you train, hard and easy sessions. So you don't want to be doing too many hard sessions, or as we know, too many easy sessions, it just gets boring. And you might do some group training, so some classes or some individual training. Have a look at the program. Is there variety to keep your motivation at a high standard, or is it too repetitive? Diminishing returns, I'm not going to talk too much about this. Gains are most rapid at the beginning of a program. That's pretty straightforward. When you start a program, you can see results pretty much straight away. Gains are also more rapid for those who start from a lower level of fitness. That's why, for example, when people go on these 12-week challenges in fitness programs, perfect example is F45. They do a 12-week fitness challenge, 6 times a year or 4 or 5 times a year. And it's generally the people that win those challenges are the ones that are very unfit and are quite largely overweight, because generally they don't have a great level of fitness, and they can, therefore, when they start exercising, they have a lot more fat to lose, and they're going to lose that a lot quicker. Once fitness levels peak, the gains are quite difficult to test and detect, okay? So gain straight away, but then it kind of plateaus out. So that's why you've always got to be progressively overloading and changing your programs. They suggest that you change your program every 12 weeks to see gains. Overloading, we're not going to do too much about this. And detraining, overtraining, is when the training load exceeds the limit that the body can adapt to recover from, often leading to injury. Okay, when you're training too much and your body can no longer recover from it sufficiently. Detraining is when the training bouts are too infrequent and there's a non-existent. So, you might train once one week and twice the other, and have week 3 off, and then give up for 2 weeks and come back to it week 7 and 8. Duration, quite important, this one. Duration refers to the length of the program or the length of each session. The minimum duration of any fitness program to see some sort of effect is 6 weeks. To develop aerobic fitness, it obviously takes a little bit longer, and they should not run for less than 12 weeks. So if you're wanting to improve your aerobic capacity, aerobic fitness, if you didn't do very well in the beat test, you should see some sort of aerobic fitness that lasts over a 12-week period. Anaerobic, a little bit shorter, 8 to 10 weeks. Have a look at the program in front of you. Is the duration appropriate for the energy systems and fitness components that you need to develop based on your fitness results and position requirements? Okay, so for example, if you scored poorly in the beat test, do you see some sort of aerobic capacity training, aerobic endurance training situated within the program for 12 weeks?